Hey, good morning. Looking at the moon this morning. Lindsay's going to tell us the exact word. Is it the May moon or May full moon? I believe this is. But hey, we're flower moon. That's what it is. Good morning to you. Glad you're up with us here on 13 Sunrise. Our flowers are getting some rain, which should help them bloom really nicely today. But as you look out, what's so special about this moon this morning, Lindsay?
Well, it's the kind of tail end of the full moon, and we're about 5 minutes away from it officially going under the horizon.
Okay.
So we just caught it. And it signifies the fact that we have dry conditions right now, the fact that we can see it. You guys look like lovely flowers this morning as well.
Thank you.
I tried to match my shoes.
The moon is what you are.
look like you're going to be a bride this summer in white.
I've bought a lot of white lately.
Yes.
Yeah, the closet is extending with white clothing. And I'll tell you, we are talking about perhaps adding some rain gear to your wardrobe today because storms, they're going to be popping up this afternoon. So enjoy some of this quiet weather while we've got it. I want to thank our photographer, Scott Graber, by the way, for that cool picture of that full moon while it's out there. Rain's been concentrated mainly east of us so far today. Over central Indiana, some quiet time. But what we've been noticing from how our atmosphere is comprised, a lot more moisture being added to this. So this is the dew point, and I don't often show a dew point temperature map, but I think it's really important today because yesterday our dew point at this time was 49 degrees. It is now 60. That signifies that we've added a lot of moisture to the air. The fact that we've had some lingering clouds overnight has kept temperatures up as well. It's 63 in Indy now, 67 in Shelbyville, and 64 outside in Bloomington. As you walk out the door, just kind of goes to show you how the day is going to play out. A very typical summertime type setup today. Temperatures will rise back to 76, and then the storms will start to initiate after the lunch hour with more scattered storm activity possible with brief heavy downpours and that lightning potential through the course of the day today. So we're going to walk you through the rain timeline for this Tuesday and the latest from the Storm Prediction Center on that severe threat Thursday coming up in your full forecast. It's 6:02 now, and we've got a little bit of an issue here developing at the South Split. This is an earlier crash involving a semi kind of taking out some of those construction cones. We had crews out kind of setting them back up. This is looking north from Raymond Street. This is where we typically do see those brake lights, that stop and go traffic, and it's been pretty hit and miss as far as when that delay builds and when it starts to clear back out. But this is the cause of the issue. We've got the semi here, some emergency crews still on scene, causing a little bit of a delay. So if you're traveling northbound on 65 approaching the South Split, be prepared for perhaps a little bit of a slowdown.
It's time. I'm tired. We're all tired. We all know that by putting him to death will not bring Bill back. That's not why we are here. We are here to plead that justice is carried out.
Really powerful and emotional testimony this morning from the widow of Beech Grove police officer Bill Toney.
Benjamin Richie is on death row for killing Tony during a foot chase more than 2 decades ago. But now, in less than a week, he's expected to be put to death unless the courts or the governor steps in.
It's Matthew Foltz who's covering this story this morning and explaining those emotional moments in that clemency hearing yesterday. Good morning, Matthew.
Yeah, good morning to you both. We do know that it was a really emotional time and testimonies from both sides. It was actually the first time that we heard from Officer Tony's sister and mother publicly. They're calling for the death penalty for Richie as we approach his execution date. Now, the 5-member parole board met by the State House yesterday, and the room was filled with Beech Grove police officers, experts, as well as family members of Bill. Now, most of the testimony centered around the night Bill was killed. As you may remember, Bill was chasing Richie on foot after he got out of a stolen van before Richie then turned around and shot him 5 times. The hearing lasted for about 4 hours from testimony again from those in support of Richie's execution and those saying he should not die. Bill's mother also testified, now pleading for justice for her family.
I feel I am at Bill's funeral all over again. I've received the call. It's hell. That's all I can say. And I do ask that justice be done for my son and for our family.
Now, last week, Richie also spoke before the parole board apologizing for the murder and saying he now has guidance in his life, which he says he did not have 25 years ago.
And do we know what the parole board will make the recommendation for this and if he'll receive this clemency? Obviously, we know we're watching a tight deadline.
Yeah, we certainly are. We have 1 week until the scheduled execution. We do know they'll recommend or make their recommendation to Governor Mike Braun, who will then have the final say on if Richie will get this clemency. We don't know the timeline just yet on when that'll happen. Again, of course, we're still working to learn that information. We do know Richie has also appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Well, this will have to happen quickly here. Thank you, Matthew.
Well, today marks the first day of a 10-year sentence for Marquise Typton. A judge just sentenced him 2 years after a road rage incident ended in shots fired.
And one of those bullets hit a woman who was working at Sullivan's Hardware across the street, hundreds of feet away from the incident.
She's amazing. She's strong. She never once said, why me?
Susie Warden was injured, though, on that day back in March of 23. A judge found Marquise Typton guilty of firing those shots from across the street in a case of road rage. And Warden was shot in the eye, and now she can no longer see out of it. She had support from her best friend as she heard Typton's sentence. Now, Warden says she is just glad this is all over.
Typton's attorneys say that he believes his client should have been able to continue serving his time on probation.
The easy thing is just lock somebody up. That's the easy thing to do. But that removes his ability to influence young men the way he has for the last 6 years.
I think justice has been served. I really do.
I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision, but it seems appropriate.
Well, Typton apologized to Warden before learning that sentence. He says that he hopes that people can learn from his mistakes. Our Sierra Putman actually sat down with Susie Warden in 2023 as she was recovering from her extensive eye injuries. You can see more on that story streaming right now on WTHR Plus by downloading our free TV app and watch today.
This morning, we're asking police for any updates on what led to a stabbing just blocks away from Monument Circle in downtown Indy. This happened around noon yesterday near Pennsylvania and Washington Streets. That woman who was stabbed, we know at last check, was in critical condition. Police say they have a person in custody, but have not given any details on their involvement in the attack. We'll, of course, share any new information as soon as it becomes available. And this morning, we are getting some insight from police on their plan to put the brakes on reckless driving and spinning this summer in the Circle City.
This recent push comes after a high-speed chase over the weekend and several arrests, all on the same stretch of highway. Several police agencies teamed up to shut down these street takeovers. In total, 7 were arrested over the weekend. 2 vehicles recovered and dozens of tickets issued.
During the weekend crackdown, police also ended up in a chase on I-70. They had to use a pit maneuver and a crash. They eventually, and 3 uninvolved people in that were actually arrested during this time.
We've seen these incidents turn into shots fired. We've seen them turn into violence where people are shot. It's not going to be tolerated.
Well, that was Officer Brown, who says the police are teaming up and using more technology to try and curb these street takeovers. But officers say more enforcement is only part of the solution. They're asking you to speak up. If you know of these events planned, they want you to report them as early as possible before anyone gets hurt.
Coming up on 6 and 9, Roche Diagnostics is planning a $500 million expansion to their company here in Indianapolis. The company plans to expand on their diabetic testing manufacturing services. Now, just last year, Roche manufactured more than 5 billion diabetes test strips. The CEO of the company says diabetes is really one of the most pressing health challenges in the United States. They'll be refurbishing an existing building into a new central hub, and that also means hundreds of new jobs in Indiana. Roche plans to start production in 3 years.
And there's a new space for Riley Hospital for children, patients, and their family, and it's called the Panda Cares Center of Hope. It's a space of healing designed to provide safety and comfort for kids while addressing their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. There was a ribbon cutting yesterday for this facility where patients and their families will also find activities as well as spaces to work and rest. And this is paid for by donations. Get this from a local Panda Express. The customers and workers came together to make this happen.
Tonight, the blue and gold are on the hunt for one more win in the Eastern Conference semifinals.
We know Game 4, that victory was a dominant one. Let's do it again. They had 7 players in double figures then, led by Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, and Obi Toppin. The team also had 37 assists, the most of any team this postseason, and they hit a franchise postseason record for points and a half with 80. Head coach Rick Carlisle knows they need to do that again if they want to wrap up the series and do it tonight.
You know, we've got to really maintain our focus on the process, and it's a difficult process. You know, playoff series, very difficult. I mean, you know, after the first 2 games, it seemed like everything was great, and then you get smashed. I mean, not smashed, obliterated. You know, and so we bounced back well, and so you know now they're going to try to smash us again, and so we've got to be ready. We've got to stand strong and stand together and do our best to play our game well.
Tip-off for Game 5 is tonight at 7. Our Eli Gain will be in Cleveland with the team. You can catch him tonight at 11 with highlights and reaction. Of course, we'll have that all for you tomorrow morning on Sunrise.
But if you're not making that trip to Cleveland, most of us aren't. Indy has us covered. The official watch party is at Brothers Bar and Grill downtown on Meridian near Georgia Street. Now, this event also starts at 7. Close to tip-off, there will be drink specials and giveaways, plus possible appearances by Boomer and the Pacemates. So a real official watch party there, yeah.
Well, hey, the peak summer travel season is just over a week away, and one of the nation's busiest airports is dealing with major travel delays. At 6:45, we'll tell you about the response from one of the airlines about safety in the skies.
Plus, hostage back at home this morning. The last known living American hostage held by Hamas is back with his family. At 6:15, we'll walk you through the negotiations to get him back after 19 months being held captive.